What's up, folks? Welcome to a brand new video. It's one day before polling day and I think I've finally come to a decision. Just a bit of background: I have voted Labour for almost 20 years. Since I could vote at 18, I'm now 35, so 17 years in every election that I could ever vote in, except this year's Euros, where I voted for the Brexit Party because I'm a Leave voter, of course. I wanted to vote Tory as soon as they got Boris as the leader, but the deal that he came back with from the EU, I just view as Theresa May's deal with a dress on. It's too similar, so that was really off-putting for me when it come to voting Tory. But anyway, this is how I came to my decision. I broke down each party's ideas that I've heard and manifestos that I've seen into things that I cared most about. And as with a lot of folks, Brexit was top of my list, of course. But Boris's deal is really hard for me to swallow. I've got a lot of Northern Irish Unionist friends, so it's a difficult decision to make that. I know that they won't be voting for Conservative. They'll have their own party, and their Democratic Unionist Party are not backing Boris's deal, so there'll be no coalition with them after this, which is a bit of a shame. The only good thing to come out of Boris's deal, in my opinion, would be if it gets us into this transition period, we fail to agree a trade deal, because we can't get a trade deal done in 10 months, not with 27 other different nations. But then he doesn't extend the transition period. We just walk away in 10 months' time, near the end of 2020. That would be my ideal. That's what I'm hoping for. That's going to happen if I give my vote to the Tories. Onto jobs. This is next on my list because I work for an agency, as you can see now. I've just got home from there. Work's very insecure, and I get somewhere between 3 and 5 days a week. I can't plan anything on that. That's not what I need at all. None of the parties have thrilled me here. They've all. I mean, Boris did the £10.50 and Corbyn with the £10. They promised to raise the minimum wage. I don't want the minimum wage to be a tenner. Despite the fact that I work for minimum wage, it's not going to help me at all. How the fuck are factories and warehouses going to pay £10 an hour when they can barely afford to pay me £8.21, is it now? £8 odd an hour now. It's not going to happen, is it? What do you think's going to happen then? I'm going to get less hours, or just none at sodding all, and they'll ship the stuff overseas because it's cheaper labour. You can't expect entry level jobs to be worth £10 an hour. That's just not right. We need to focus more on the full-time work, getting people that don't want to be on agency work and don't want zero contract hours, full-time work. Get them the 40 hours a week that they want, and then we won't be taking like tax credits out of the system either. We'll be putting tax into the system, because 40 hours a week at minimum wage puts you over the threshold. So it's only going to help the country as well. I don't want higher wages. I don't need the higher wage. If I can get 8 hours a day, 5 hours a week, and I can come home to a bloody cup of tea, I'm an happy chappy. Cheers. On the railways, I'm all for nationalising, because franchise after franchise has just been successively shit and expensive. So I'm sort of with Labour on that one, but they want to nationalise everything else under the fucking sun as well. Like mail, water, energy, and now the sodding internet. I'm not one for Chinese style censorship, thanks pal. Fuck that shit. I put the next two together because to me, they're clearly linked to each other. Housing and immigration. As things stand, I will never own a house. Not a bloody chance. Never in a million years. I'm a single bloke in his mid-30s who rents. I'm at my limit in terms of income and outgoings, but even if I got 40 hours a week, the prices of houses are just insanely high, and my chances of getting a mortgage is slim to none. I don't want the government to build cheap housing for me to buy. I'm not that selfish, but it would be handy if I could rent some cheap housing so I can save up for a deposit in the future and get myself an own house. It's really not going to happen for me unless something changes drastically in the housing market. And the problem with whether you believe Labour or you believe Tories on their housing programme, they've all lied. They all lie regularly on housing. Every general election I can remember, we've had lies on housing. Ever since the housing stock was sold off by Thatcher, every successive government has failed to keep up. But it's not just building more houses that's the problem that matters. It's, as a nation, Since 2004, this country has taken in over 4 million people in net migration. For as long as we're bringing in ridiculous amounts of people like that to these lands, we will just continue to struggle, because you just can't build that fast. And it's not just in housing as well. It's really not just in housing. All kinds of services are going to be more and more affected, like GP surgeries, schools, even social care projects. We've seen Sure Start centres fall, and that's because just can't keep up with it, can't afford it. That's why the Tories just take it for me here, because Labour have made it clear that free movement is not off the table if they're negotiating with the EU, and their cheerleaders like your Owen Joneses, they're regularly flapping their gums about open borders, whereas the Tories have at least promised to introduce a points-based system that doesn't discriminate based on where your country of origin is. I like that most parties have focused on public transport quite a bit. We are in dire need of upgraded services here in the Midlands and further north. We'll see whether they follow through with them plans though. No clue why Labour are offering free bus passes to under 25s. There's already a load of student discounts to be had everywhere. Do they not get enough free shit? On crime, we know that both parties are pledging to recruit more and spend more. My problem is that knife crime is rampant at the moment, and not just in London either. We've had it around here. We've had young kids dying around here. Like a 17-year-old stabbed a 16-year-old the other week, and yeah, that really hit home for quite a few people. But I'm 99% sure that Labour would ban stop and search powers given to police again, despite the fact that knife crime dropped massively when Boris was Mayor of London. When he allowed stop and search, but when Khan got in power and banned it and knife crime went through the roof, there's quite obviously a link there. Like, use your noggin, for Christ's sake. And this is before we even get on to Priti Patel versus Diane Abbott as Home Secretary. It's not even a competition, is it? Abbott's a bloody clown. So when I weighed up all the pros and cons of each party, they all turn out in a minus score, so to speak, more cons than pros. But Labour and Labour's promising to lots of spending to help poor folks, but they are promising absolutely sod all to empower them so they can make their own lives better. It's all about giveaways. They see ordinary people like me as victims, not as folks capable of working hard, running their own lives and deciding the fate of their nation. If you don't play the victim card, Labour aren't interested in you. So in conclusion, as a Labour Leave voter who voted Labour and Corbyn in 2017, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm voting Conservative. Yes, that's not something that I ever thought I would say in my entire life. Why? Well, because bollocks to extreme liberalism, bollocks to open borders, bollocks to people who support terrorists, bollocks to self-ID, bollocks to anti-Semites, and most importantly, bollocks to Jeremy Corbyn and his momentum cult.